Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Total NASL TV. This time we are going to talk about Rayo OKC. When they first got announced as a NASL club, I remember the show, I think it was like NASL week leading up to the championship. I think it was the final. And it was just me and Teo, and we were doing shows back and forth each day leading up to the final. And his reaction was priceless. He was like, "Why Oklahoma? I can't believe why they're going into this market." If you didn't see it or you want to see his reaction again, go watch the show because it was pretty funny. But I want to welcome Mike to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm so happy to have you on. But talking about Rayo OKC, uh, the thought was, are they going to be successful? And a lot of people had so much question marks. Why are we going to foreign ownership? And no one really likes foreign ownership, but I think if the league did it right, I think it could work. And doing it right, I mean, like, get a stable club to own a team like NYCFC. They're owned by Manchester City. That team's never going to be relegated, and they have tons of money to pour into NYCFC. But Rayo Vallecano is in the second division. Why would a second division club want to be promoting their brand in America? I don't really know on that one, but let's talk about what happened in the past couple of weeks. We have a statement reported by Chris Bronick. The club hasn't released anything. They only said that their coach has stepped down, Alan Marcina. But thanks to everyone that has been reporting, Chris Bronick, Franco, he has been doing a hell of a job down there as well. We got a quote saying, "Our ownership group introduced a new vision for the club this week, and it was presented to Alan and his staff. Chairman, this was from Raul Martin, president, the chairman, the chairman of Rayo OKC. Uh, in the end, Alan decided that it was best to move in a different direction, and we respect his decision and wish him well moving forward. On the other hand, we're thrilled to welcome a coach of Gerard's caliber to the club, and we're looking forward to seeing the team finish under his guidance and expertise." This couldn't have come at a better time. Smack in the middle of the fall season, the hunt for the championship. Mike, what are your initial thoughts on that quote from the chairman of Rayo Vallecano and majority owner of Rayo OKC?
A very politically correct statement and a very PR type of statement. You have to say those things in these types of situations. We wanted to move into a different direction, or things weren't going well, so we decided to make a change and blah blah blah. That's where I think it's just a politically correct or a very PR type of statement. What I found interesting though was Presa didn't even come to the United States to do any of these deals. He sent Alberto Gallego to do all of his dirty work for him. Um,
Yeah.
so he came. Gallego came over here, and I'm looking at the article from Chris Brannick as well, and basically came over and asked employees, front office employees, and coaching staff members to take a 25 to 40% pay cut for the remainder of the season, and then said that, quote, we had financial goals in the beginning, and they were not meeting them. The ownership group introduced a new direction for the club. Alan Marcina in the front office, they wanted to go a different way. Uh, End quote. I mean, why not do this at the end of the spring season or wait until the end of the fall season to do something instead of right smack in the middle? I wouldn't say middle, but you're 6 games into the fall season. Your team is playing the best soccer that it has all season. You're 1 point from the top of the table in the fall standings. You're 4 points away from fourth, or you're 3 points away from fourth place in the combined standings. I mean, you're 3 points from a playoff spot, 1 point from winning the fall season. Why not either go ahead and axe the club at the end of the spring season or at the end of the fall season, so that way there is no drama, turmoil, anything like that, so to speak, within the club, within the players, within the team. Um, any bad, I guess, publicity or press with Rayo Vallecano back in La Liga or back in Spain. I mean, that'd be my opinion. That'd be the logical thing to do. But as we've seen over these past few years covering the NASL, with some of these teams, nothing really is logical. Um, aka San Antonio Scorpions or Atlanta Silverbacks, so to speak. So, and to your point about the foreign ownership, I don't think people hate foreign ownership. I think if they invest in the community and invest in the club, there's nothing to hate against or dislike against foreign ownership. Yeah, it's not one, someone for your local community or someone that you know or grew up with in the community. It's foreign ownership. Yes, we get that. But at the same time, if they invest in the community and they have a stable and sound financial business plan, I don't, you can't really hate them for that or dislike them for that. You see it all the time with, your example was Manchester City and NYCFC. But it makes you wonder now if because there's rumors going around about Celtic coming in from the Scottish Premier League. If a club like that wants to come in to the NASL, what's the business plan or what's the thinking or the idea from the NASL, and what they going to implement to say we don't want to have another Rayo OKC on our plate, we don't want to have another San Antonio Scorpions, Atlanta Silverbacks, so on and so forth on our plate again, and kind of disrupt things. Because right when the NASL looked like they were going to have some respect across the U.S. soccer from all different types of fan bases, then this comes into play once again. So,
Yeah, you said it really well right there. And I think a lot of people think that whatever club they support in the NASL, they think that their team is safe, right? They think nothing can happen
right,
to my team. I like the Cosmos, right? If things go really wrong, that team could not be there tomorrow, right? The Cosmos don't have a local owner. We have a foreign owner who is
right.
never really around. He travels a lot, does business and all that. And I don't really like that. I'd rather have a local owner that knows the local market and that has the money to invest into any club that you support. But with Rayo OKC, they got a local soccer team, and it had to be foreign owner because those were the only people to invest and that wanted to invest in that market. So I think you just have to understand that part and just accept it,
And
really.
you have to feel bad for the minority owners who are local businessmen who are now basically left to pick up the pieces from all this. And you, I mean, really, if you think about it, OKC Energy, the USL team, the other professional team in Oklahoma City, I mean, they're just sitting back and watching the fireworks and saying, wow, we look pretty right now because this other team tried to come in, compete with us, and we essentially won a indirect battle, so to speak, on that one. And you also have to wonder about Coach Alan Marcina. You really have to wonder what kind of reputation Marcina has, given the fact that if he does go to a different club, what kind of reputation is going to follow him in seeing that he's been with two teams, the San Antonio Scorpions, which I'm supporting now, and Rayo OKC, who have basically gone defunct or are on the verge of going extinct, and probably will at the end of the fall season. What kind of reputation does he have now of building successful football teams, and yet he's always the first one to the gallows every time, the last two times, and yet it hasn't been his fault either time. It's just been poor financial business planning on San Antonio and Rayo OKC. Uh, but you just have to wonder what some people think of Alan Marcina now, unfortunately, because he's been the head coach and has run the football operations or the soccer operations of both clubs. So,
I think his potential, like whatever team he goes to next, because I think it's going to be a NASL team for sure. I just can't see him going to
oh
MLS
yeah,
and all that. Uh, I don't think they look at him and say like, "Oh, you helped ruin that club, or whatever." But I
right,
think he does a good job in any circumstance. So, like with Rayo
right,
OKC, we got told that they had tight purse strings, right? So he did well, and they're in third place, and they're traveling to New York for a fight for top of the table realistically that could happen if they beat the Cosmos. So
Right.
I just don't understand why he left, but I understand because there was a new vision and all that. But I think the Spanish guy that came, I forgot his name, not the chairman, he sent his own guy there because he didn't want to do it himself. I wouldn't want to do it either. If you have money, I would send like a whole team of people. But
Yeah.
he said that the club was not performing well. And I look at that and I was like, they're not performing well. They're in third place. What league is he
Yeah.
watching? Is he even like watching the matches over here? And
Right.
he also brought up that the manager is not it is not playing players that are earning a lot of money. So
Yeah. Scissortail Podcast, who has Porter Cunningham and Will Bowersox, they reported that as well, that there was some rift between front office ownership and Alan Marcina for not playing the more expensive players or the players that were getting the high dollars, even though they were being successful or winning. He wasn't playing the players or the right players that they thought that he should be playing, and that always happens. It's never good news when front office or ownership steps into and tries to do the head coaching job or the job of the coaches, and vice versa. When coaches try to step in and run the club and take over a GM or ownership standpoint, those situations never end well. And obviously, Alan Marcino was the one to step down.
yeah, you just have to feel for Alan Marcina. Yeah, he probably has a family and all that. So yeah, it just happens in the business all the time.
Right. Yeah. And then also Scissortail Podcast reported, this was yesterday, that says, quote, this is a tweet. Update: Rayo OKC players wanted sorely to walk out with Marcina. Stayed when Allen told them they have contracts they need fulfilled. And then it later says that the front office and ownership tried to corner some of those players to go against Marcina, which didn't happen. So, and then he obviously stepped down. But I think an interesting point that we haven't brought up yet, John, is the fact that Alan Marcina stepped down on August 1st, and it was reported on Rayo OKC's website, but it wasn't until yesterday in the wee hours of Friday morning that people started picking it up, and then news just basically hit the fan, and then went all over the place saying that Marcina stepped down, and then news broke out about the rift and all of the troubles going on there in Oklahoma City and with Rayo Vallecano. So I thought that was mind blowing, the fact that a professional sports team in a major sports league such as the North American Soccer League, that just goes stealth like under the radar. Nobody picks it up until essentially 5 days later, and now people are just now starting to talk about it and realize what's going on. And I guarantee there's probably some Rayo OKC fans in Oklahoma that are going to tune in tonight to watch the game in New York and wonder where's Alan Marcina and where are all these people at. So yeah.
Yeah, and what makes it very interesting is that the NHL schedule, they planned it well for this weekend. Rayo OKC Cosmos is on a Sunday at 4 p.m. So there could be a lot of eyeballs on that match than if it was on a Saturday night. So I think it helps with the Cosmos because they can get some more viewers for the match, because you should tune in to One World Sports and watch Rayo OKC. Quick plug right there. But it's crazy what's going on with the Rayo OKC. We have a quote from Sean Jones, who was the minority owner, local owner there in Rayo OKC. He says that he was absolutely blindsided, and it's very disappointing to him. And we're going to move on to talk about, are they even going to be playing in 2017? That is the question. Or maybe the question is, can they even finish out this season? Because they're asking people to take pay cuts. Only 2 people working in their front office. So that's not a good start for the rest of the season. And the question becomes, can Rayo OKC make it 100 more days to the end of the season? I don't know. I think anyone can just like throw in their guess here. But Jones says, honestly, I can't tell you about a possible 2017 season. I honestly don't know. I'll find out. It's over when it's over. That is the realistic thing that's going on with the Spanish ownership, is that they're not even letting their minority owner know what's going on. He's just hearing about it when we're hearing about it. And going back to what Mike was talking about, how they just announced on August 1st that Alan Martinez stepped down. The thing was that they never tweeted about it. Like, they didn't want to like bring negative attention to their club. So they probably know that like not a lot of people actually probably come on our site or probably don't care about. I mean, like, I'm not trying to put Rayo OKC down, but I don't think a lot of the club's websites. I just don't think they bring a lot of traffic, especially if you're not a popular club like Rayo OKC is not. So yeah, they just did not tweet about it. And once it brought attention was when Chris Bronick and Franco on Twitter were revealing so much stuff about what was going on. And then right when they said, "Oh, Alan Martinez stepped down," and even the reporters there picked it up on August 5th. You know what I mean? So it was pretty shocking on that front. But the Spanish.
Well, to answer your question, John, will Rayo OKC be around next year? No. There's no way that they can be having the business structure that they have now currently in place and survive to next year. There's no way I can see that, and I don't think the league would want that, given the way things have gone in Oklahoma City with Rayo and with ownership back in Spain. I just can't see that, and it's unfortunate too because you lose the Silverbacks and Scorpions, and then you bring in three new teams in Miami FC, Rayo OKC, and now Puerto Rico, and now you're going to lose a club in Rayo OKC, and then bring on the San Francisco Delta. So there's always change, and there's always new ownership coming in, and some moving to the side. So you wonder then, I guess the next question, or the overall arcing question is, what kind of business model or plan does the NASL go with now? Do they stay with their plan that they've had all along and be different from Major League Soccer, which I think they will, in allowing clubs to operate as independent businesses and making the decisions that they need to make on their own and want to make on their own, compared to MLS, who has basically a single entity. Everything revolves around what's going on at league offices. Players are paid mostly by the league, and everything is operated and comes out through the league and not necessarily the clubs themselves. Has MLS struggled to and have teams moved to the wayside? Yes. Tampa Bay Mutiny, a good example. Have teams come in and realize situations weren't good and had to relocate. San Jose earthquake. But at the same time, these last 5 or 6 years, things have been going really well for MLS, and the way they do things financially on the business side. Do I agree with everything they do when it comes to player development and how the league is structured? No, but that could be a very good possibility of how things should be operated, or not necessarily should be, but maybe an avenue that the league has to look at least, as to why we have all these teams come in, and yet we have bring in all these new clubs, yet some fold and move away. It has to be on their minds at least some way. What can we do differently to make sure that all these teams are successful in our league? So will they be around next year, Rayo OKC? No, I don't. I can't. There's no way. Given that the way things are going now, no way. Will the league step in and maybe run some things or pick up the tab? They did that for the Silverbacks, so that wouldn't surprise me if they did that till the end of the season and then cut ties with everything and fold up camp from there.
But your point about MLS and like how each league is run, I just can't see NASL like going into that
I can't
business model because the owners that own clubs in the NASL, they probably could have invested in MLS, but they didn't because they like the NASL business model. So if,
Exactly.
say, at the end of the season, they have a meeting with all the owners and Bill Peterson's like, we want to go to like an MLS business model. I mean, like there probably be like arguments, like crazy
Yeah.
stuff there. So I think that would
But
never happen. But if you think about it, I think it would just make every club very stable, and I think it would bring a lot more fans to the league as well. But
I mean, you have to wonder because everything right now I think is on the table for the NASL, or at least if I'm Bill Peterson, I have to be looking at every option possible because you've had basically three clubs, new clubs come in this season, two go away, and it looks like Rayo, I mean, came into the league, blinked, and then are on their way out. So, and then you have the Deltas coming back in. So, I mean, I would think that there's every option open right now as to what can we do as a league to make sure that every team is successful financially on and off the field. So, but who knows? Who knows? I'm sure those talks have already been going on for some time, but you just have to wonder.
do you think there is a local owner in Oklahoma that sort of sees this club and sees what they're doing? Do you think a local owner there would sort of try to pick up the pieces and maybe try to buy out Rayo Vallecano? Because that's the only way they stay around is if someone buys their shares or if they decide, I don't want to deal with
Right.
this
Right.
anymore, and I just sell my shares, probably to the league, and then the league would probably try to find an owner. That wouldn't be the
I,
most best idea to do because we saw with the Silverbacks they couldn't find an owner and they just went out.
right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, but in the Silverbacks case, it had to do with the stadium, with the club, with the logo, with a bunch of things that the reason why there was hiccups and obstacles that anyone who had interest were trying to buy the club, just they hit too many at one time and couldn't really pick up the tab. And I think the asking price or the buying price was just way too high, and they wouldn't go down on it. Uh, in terms of Rayo OKC, I can't say because I'm not in Oklahoma if there's a local owner besides the ones that are there now trying to pick up the pieces. I can't say that because I'm not there, so I have no idea. Um, if they
They must
do,
have some connections, like the minority
yeah,
owner. He must know
right.
some
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
high
I'm sure they
profile
do.
people in the
I'm sure
area.
they do.
So
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he like phoned someone and be like, "Oh, you want to own part of the team?" He's like, "Yeah, okay."
yeah.
So yeah, I
Um,
can see that happening.
I can see though that because Rayo Vallecano, they were in the Premier League in Spain, La Liga, and they were relegated this past year and are going to be in second division. I can see them wanting to have a high asking price for someone to buy the club in order for them to be a little bit more financially stable back in Spain. I can see that, and I can also see them saying, if you buy the club, you have to change the team, the logo, or the team name, and the logo as well. But I don't know.
I mean, I would be okay with that. I would be okay if someone came in and bought the team and just
Yeah,
rebranded the whole team to like Oklahoma FC or whatever, Oklahoma
right,
City FC. I would be happy with that. I wouldn't
right,
care what the name is at all. If they have a team there, if they're still playing in the league, if they can play next season, that's all we
right,
want. That's what we want to see because I think the problem is we've been fans of the league for a couple of seasons. Our teams have joined the league in the past couple of years, and
right,
the thing is that we want to see the league be successful, and the only way they can be successful is if they get a new expansion club in, and then that club still stays around for a couple of years. And we're not seeing that a lot in this league. We saw like the Silverbacks leave, Scorpions went to USL, the Spurs they bought them, and
right.
then we're having the Deltas come in. Hopefully they're a success. I would think they would have to uh, put in more clubs as well when they announce the Deltas. There has to be some
Right.
more. I
Chicago,
would.
yeah. Chicago looks like they're a good club that's going to come in. But to your point, though, because we pay attention to the NASL and because we are invested in the NASL, we're invested emotionally,
And time wise as
yeah,
well.
and time wise as well, but not financially. And if I'm a business owner, I'm looking at that that business plan and that team and saying there's no way I'm going to invest in a team like Rayo OKC with the way things are going. Now, I could be wrong, but that's just me personally. Do I want to see Rayo OKC be successful for the rest of the season and continue on past the 2016 season? Absolutely. But if I am someone looking to invest in the North American Soccer League, I don't know if I couldn't put my money there and basically start over from scratch, because that's basically what you're doing with Rayo OKC. Now, the good news is you could put your own fingerprint on everything and run the club the way you want to. But at the end of the day, you're basically looking at a whole new roster, new coaching staff, completely different front office. I mean, everything's going to be brand new. That's a lot of time, money, and investment that you really have to put into. I don't know if there's anyone out there that would want to do that. I'm sure there is. But if that was me, I would not want to do that.
Well, if an owner were coming now, he can still go get Alan Marcina. He could rehire the people that they all fired, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It could be a very easy job if they do it today, but if they do it like a couple months from now, it may be harder because they may not be around, which is very sad to even talk about. But I just can't see them. I mean, I would want to see them play next year, but if things go the way they're going, I can't see them play next year. Do you think they go out of business during the season? Like, can you see that happen or no?
No, the league would not allow that to happen. I just could not see the league. Well, that would be a huge blow to the league, not just from a financial perspective, but from a competitive perspective. It would be really bad PR and press for a league or for a team or for a league to allow a team just to go extinct during the season.
They would have to reshape the schedule as well. So
exactly,
that'd be crazy.
If you're playing Rayo OKC this weekend, sorry, you just have a week off.
Every team that's playing Rayo OKC has a bye week.
Yeah, teams who are hosting Rayo OKC are expecting a something financially back from that game, ticket sales, merchandise, etc., corporate sponsors even. And now all of a sudden you lose a team middle of the season, and now that money you can't get that money back. You'll never regain it back. Corporate sponsors are going to look at the league and the teams that they support and say, look, you have teams going out in the middle of the season. This voids our contract completely. We're not supporting you or giving any more money to you, and that's bad news for the league and for the teams that are involved.
I mean, it doesn't matter when they go out because it's still something that we don't want to see. But I think it makes more sense for them to do it at the end of the season, and hopefully there's someone to pick up all these pieces. Maybe it's the league, but I really don't want to see the league own the team next season. I just don't want to see that because they give limited resources, and each owner is paying to improve Rayo OKC, and they probably would have rebranded themselves and all that. So I would not want to see that because it would just be a year of them around, and then if they can't find an owner, then they'll leave, and then it was a waste of like millions of dollars. So I would say at the end of the season, try to find an owner, and they're probably doing that right now. And if they can't find an owner, then I'm sorry, Rayo OKC fans, you have to support the energy, which I probably wouldn't want to support them either. But maybe they merge. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I know Paul from Gorilla Talk last year was saying that, I think he was, if I remember correctly, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I think the figure was like $750,000 each team had to pay, if they were going to support the Silverbacks being in the league like one more season, which would come out to like $2 or $3 million. I don't quote me on that, but I think it was around that ballpark figure. To support the Silverbacks if they were going to continue the following season. So, but yeah, I don't want a league to have to step in and own a team or run a club for that matter. But in this case, it looks like they're going to have to with Rayo OKC.
Yeah, Rayo Vallecano, they don't really care about really what's going on with the club here. which if you invest money into it, please care about your club. Please do. Yeah, it's crazy, and hopefully we don't see this happen again in the future. But we see this across the world. Like we see clubs maybe go bankrupt, and they have to like rename their club, and then they start from like a lower division. It happens everywhere. So that's probably one of the positive things about this is that we're not the only one going through this. We don't like Rayo OKC. We don't support Rayo OKC, but we care for them because they play in our league, right, Mike?
Exactly. Yeah. We support them? Am I a fan of Rayo OKC? I should say that. No, I do own a Rayo OKC jersey, the black one with the rainbow
Oh,
stripes. I love that jersey. I have their jersey. Um, do I like when they win? Absolutely. I like when any team wins, except for against Indy 11. So, I mean, I
you
support
like
every
when the
club.
Cosmos win too?
Believe it or not, I actually do, because sometimes they do help, but it is funny when they do lose. But I do support every team in the league. I like every team in the league. I know a lot of fans in Indianapolis are they do hate their teams or dislike their teams that play against Indy 11, but I don't have those um, you know biases, I guess. But Indy 11 always comes first. But I mean, I want to see every team succeed in the NASL. I wish that could happen in the case of Rayo OKC, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to
When I was in Indy, it didn't look like people were liking me
happen.
as a Cosmos fan coming into their territory. I don't know. I don't really believe that statement, but we'll just end the show with this.
Okay.
So the Spanish ownership, the guy that came down, he says every time I talk to Preza, it's about the future. Everything we're doing is about building for the future. I just can't understand what the future is. I would love to know what the chairman of Rayo Vallecano is thinking. Are we going to be around for a while? What is he thinking?
Yeah.
What do they expect out of this team? Do they want them to win trophies? Do they want to invest little money so they can just grow their brand in Spain? That has to be the goal, is to just grow their brand in Spain, right?
Or even put a team here in the United States for a reserve team or a player pool where we can draw talent from Oklahoma City and across the South, Southwest, and even Midwest, and have a player pool for a reserve style team. So that way we can take those players back to Spain and help our first team, Rayo Vallecano, be successful in what is now second division and getting back up to first division La Liga in Spain. I
We
think that
haven't seen
was
yeah.
yeah. I think that was more the business structure or the idea behind this. I think in Manchester City and NYCFC, I think there's a little bit of that as well. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. I think NYCFC, they like throw players on loans at NYCFC. We saw, I think it was last season. I don't follow NYCFC that much, so I don't really know about this season. Uh, but yeah, NYCFC has some money to spend as well. So you bring in the likes of Pirlo and Lampard and Villa, and you're going to get 20,000 people to the stadium. But Ray OKC, I mean, you guys got Samaras, you guys got Boateng. They're going to be there Sunday. All the players are there right now in New York, are going to travel, and they're going to be fighting for their future. That's what they're going to be doing. And I think a lot of Cosmos supporters are like, oh my God, this is an easy 3 points. We're going to beat them because their club is in a bad state at the moment. But no, Samaras and all these players are going to come in here and they want to beat the Cosmos. And
Right.
I think they're going to want to show ownership like, what? This is what we can do. We're a good team. And the new manager coming in, he was the former technical director or former assistant technical director of Rayo Vallecano. So some type of partnership between the Spanish owners as well. They have some type of connection there. So that would be very interesting to see how he is a manager of his club and what he gets out of the team for the last couple of months. So it's be very exciting, and we will talk about Rayo OKC a bit more. But we thought it was great to get just a discussion about Rayo OKC and what's next for them, because what's next
Right.
could either be someone helps them out. It can either be a local owner or maybe a foreign owner, maybe someone else in Spain is like, I want to grow my brand, and maybe it's like Villarreal or whatever coming in and be like Villarreal B. No, I would not want to see that, but I don't know. They would want to grow their brand, right? Or maybe we can see a supporters trust be started in the next couple of days, and maybe fans raise some money to support their Rayo OKC club. So I don't know. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Like the video if you enjoyed our chat, and subscribe if you're new. Mike, thanks for coming on. And what are your last words on Rayo OKC and maybe your Indy 11?
In terms of Rayo OKC, best of luck to the players that are still playing and as you said, basically fighting for their futures. You feel bad for a guy like Billy Forbes, or even a guy, the Rayo OKC goalkeeper who played for Alan Marcina in San Antonio and believed in him and trusted in him, and then followed him to Oklahoma City, and then the circumstances are basically almost identical to the situation, and Marcina has to leave once again. So you feel for guys like that who believe and trust in Marcina and have followed him to do two different stops, and yet he's the first one to get the axe at both places. So you feel bad for those guys, and you wish everybody down there in Oklahoma City and Such a Tell podcast as well the best of luck, and hopefully they can find a team that they can love and support next year. Hopefully it's Rayo OKC or a version of Rayo OKC. And as for Indy 11, big game today against basically the hottest team in the league in Ottawa Fury. So it'll be an interesting day, interesting weekend for the NASL for sure.
And would you be tuning into Rayo OKC versus New York Cosmos or no?
I will be paying attention to it. I'm actually going to the Indianapolis Indians Toledo Mud Hens baseball game on Sunday afternoon. So that's where I'll be. But if I can, if possible, I will at least be maybe tuning in. If not, at least being updated on Twitter, seeing what's going on there at Hofstra.
Yeah, it's going to be a great match, and hopefully the Cosmos win. But then again, I won't be surprised if Rayo OKC won. And if you are a Cosmos supporter watching, watch out, because Rayo OKC want to beat our Cosmos. Everyone does. Like, if Indy comes, they want to beat the Cosmos, and they did. I saw that in front of my eyes in Indy. Okay,
so that was a great night.
No, it wasn't. But okay, we'll end the show right there. That thoughts coming back in my mind. I'll see you guys next week, or we'll see you guys next week on Total NASL TV.